Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech,
And this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
and welcome back to the snobOS show, the show for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. We are back with another episode. This is episode 210 of the snobOS cast. So, as we do at the top, we always want to say thank you to those who have been listening, who have been tuning in ever since the beginning. We want to do a special shout out to those who have decided to support financially. If you want to support our show financially, definitely you can become a snobist. That is what we affectionately call our Patreon supporters. If you want to be a snobist fan, definitely go to patreon.com/snobOScast to become a financial supporter. We just got done recording our live show with subjects and topics that people will get early and you won't hear on the public show. So if you want to get those benefits in addition to showing your love for the show, definitely go to patreon.com/snobOScast. So having said that, we're going to get right into the show. We're going to start with our lowdown segment where we talk all things Apple. And I'll be honest, I didn't have too much going on this week, maybe because I didn't look that hard. I don't know. But the only thing that I can see that notable that came out of any sort of real Apple news was the first thing, iOS 16.4 was finally released. Didn't have too many things going on with iOS 16.4. We talked about it in past episodes. With iOS 16.4, you're going to get Apple Pay Later, which is basically, you know, a bougie layaway to where you can, if you any place that accepts Apple Pay, you can actually go and apply, similar to Affirm, similar to
Klarna.
Klarna, yeah. You can apply on the spot to for Apple's Pay Later program. It's a soft pull on the credit. It won't affect your credit history too much when they look, but they'll look at all these different factors. I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago, all the things that Apple looks at. Specifically, if you've done a lot of business with Apple, that's how they kind of determine whether or not you're going to qualify, you know, based on if you've done Apple installments over the past, whether or not you have an Apple credit card, whether or not you use Apple Pay Cash, you know, all those ways is how Apple kind of determines your worthiness outside of doing a hard credit pull, right? When somebody looks at your credit officially, you know, that could adversely affect your credit score because that shows, oh, these many people are trying to look to see if you're credit worthy. If these many people are looking, that means maybe something's going on, maybe not. But anyway, if you do get approved, you can take this purchase. It doesn't have to be an Apple product. It doesn't have to be a Mac or an iPhone or an iPad. It can be anywhere that Apple accepts, the merchant accepts Apple Pay. You apply, you get approved. You have the option to then split that purchase. I think the minimum is $500 up to, I think, $1,000 is what I think they're doing right now. You can have the option to split up that total purchase price in, I think, 4 installments. And that way you get a little break. You don't have to give all that money up front, even though you do get the product up front. I think that's what the main thing that diversifies or differentiates rather from layaway. Layaway, you had to put something on it until you had that thing paid in full, and then
you could take it home.
Right. With Apple Pay Later, it's the opposite. If they approve you into the program, they'll pay whatever it is on your behalf. You get the product, you pay Apple in these 4 installments. So that's
over 6 weeks. So let's be, it's not, because a lot of people might hear the 4, payments, and it's like, oh, I can make a payment every month. No, friends. It's 4 over 6 weeks.
Right. So it ain't 24 months, 36 months, same as cash type thing. Right. You got 6 weeks. So, make sure that you do your financial number crunching to figure out, okay, I ain't got it all up front, but in 6 weeks I can. So you got to make sure you take that in consideration too, or Apple will be knocking on your door about their money, right?
And that's what I was about to say. I'm trying to look through this link on Wired to see what happens. So say you don't keep up with your 4 payments. Does Apple confiscate the item? Like, how does that work?
I don't know. I have to do some other research. I don't think we've ever
I don't see. Yeah, because I'm looking through the thing and I don't see, unless they automatically have an account on there. But I mean, people change accounts all the time, so maybe you can't change the payment method. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's interesting. I was trying to see if I could see where they said it, but I haven't seen anything yet. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I have to look and see. All I see is how to set it up and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, of course, asked the question. Well, what happens if I don't pay? We'll
Because there
cross.
are going to be some people who try to get over.
Yeah, yeah,
Trust.
yeah. Most people are like, oh, I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
Right.
All right. So another thing in iOS 16.4 is new emoji. If you care about that sort of thing, web app push notifications via the home screen. So that means like if you don't download an official app, but the website that you visit is mobile compatible, and you sign up for notifications on when this item is back in stock. iOS 16 enables web app push notifications via the home screen. So you'll actually get a notification on your home screen versus having to check your email or go to the website to see if you got a notification. Another thing that we've talked about before is crash detection optimizations for iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Pro. We talked about skiers. We talked about people on roller coasters. We talked about all these different people triggering the crash detection on the iPhone 14 and 14 Pro. Looks like Apple is tweaking that as we speak. Voice isolation for cellular calls and the ability to detect duplicate photos and videos in an iCloud shared photo library. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But the last thing that is notable from iOS 16.4 is a new home app architecture with improvements in overall performance. I think what they mean by that, again, I'm a HomeKit home user, but I'm thinking these improvements in performance is I think the home app was having problem with these products that are now Matter compatible, which is supposed to standardize the whole smart home industry with products that if they're Matter compatible, they will automatically work with Siri, it'll work with Alexa, they'll work with Google Nest, they'll work with Amazon and all their products, right? I'm assuming the previous home architecture wasn't really jiving with these Matter compatible products, but it looks
Probably
like
not.
this new architecture makes Apple Home and HomeKit more Matter compatible. So that's pretty much the gist of iOS 16.4. Um, have you tried any of the stuff? Did you see anything that piqued your fancy, I guess?
So I've updated all my devices, but honestly, none of these things I really care about. If we're being honest, I don't foresee myself using Apple Pay later. New emojis might be fun, but it's like, yeah, whatever. Crash detection, I guess that's good for safety reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the biggest thing that I could be looking forward to is seeing how the home app changes, if it improves, how my HomePod minis work, because I've talked before.
Oh
I
yeah,
have
right.
three, and sometimes
I'm
they don't
with you too.
necessarily want to hand off the
Mm-hmm.
way it should, the seamless handoff that I was promised, and that one of the main reasons why I got these things. Because at what point after I first got them, I was about to take all three of them back and say, "Yo, run me my money back
Mm-hmm.
because this is not what I wanted." So
Yeah.
I'm hopeful. I don't know, because since it specifically rate talks about fixes to Matter. I'm not sure if that is going to make any changes to, any Apple connected devices to this. Such as smart speakers. I hope it does, because there's definitely room for improvements when it comes to, in my particular case, the HomePod Mini. So I'm
No, I'm
kind of
with
looking
you
forward
too.
to
'Cause I
that.
have a HomePod Mini and I got the regular HomePod, and it is not. You ask them you ask Siri a question, she may or may not answer you. You know, the common thing we're getting is you don't have your iPhone with you. Unlock your phone to process a request or something like that, which I thought the whole purpose with HomeKit was being able to use the hub to where that connects to the internet so I don't have to. But depending on who's talking and the music, definitely is not, what's the word I'm looking for? Stable is the
Yeah.
problem I'm running into. It is not stable. Some
And it's
products
not
will work.
seamless. Yeah.
Yeah, some products will work. I'm having problems right now to where some of my security cameras are dropping off the network, and I'm like, well, it shows up in the app natively that it used, but if
Mhm.
I go to the home app to where it's supposed to integrate to where I can go to this one place and see all my products offline, can't register, doesn't see it, so I'm going to all the devices periodically, resetting them just so they'll show up in the home app. So yeah, all that to say, I co-sign the home pod and the home experience overall, especially when you've got non-techies in the house. Like my wife will be like, why doesn't the light work? And I'm like, I don't know. Let me get up. She ain't trying to hear all that. She's like, I want to turn off my light so I can go to sleep. You got all of these products. You hooked it up to my watch. You hooked it up to my phone. It's hooked up to the thermostat, and none of them will turn off the light.
And the funny thing is, your wife is a techie. She's an engineer. So it just always cracks
Nope.
me up when she talks about
Mm-mm.
stuff. And I'm like, you got a whole
2
ass
degrees.
engineering degree and a master's in a
Mhm. She
in
does not
CS.
care.
Like, and she's
She
like,
is
nope.
like, why doesn't this work? Make it work.
I don't want to know why it doesn't work. Just fix it.
No fiddling around, no shutting stuff off, no force closing the app, open it back up. It's not, I press the button, it ain't working. You said, Terrance, you said, press this button and it'll work. I'm pressing
I'm
the
pressing
button,
this button and
it
it's
ain't
not working.
working. It's your fault.
But can I just put in, if anybody from Apple is listening to this, can we get a homegirl update? I don't want to say her name because all my stuff will go off. But can we get an update for her? I don't know if my voice sounds like a lot of people on TV, but when people are talking on the TV,
Mm-hmm.
like a commercial or something, she'll just pick up and says, "Oh, I don't, I can't
Mm-hmm.
find that for you." I watch the Fox show 911,
Uh-huh.
and one of the firefighters was asking her to do something. My Siri was she was tweaking. She was like, I do not recognize this voice. I do not recognize this voice.
Mm-hmm.
Please go and check your settings. And if you have a new voice profile, add it. And I'm like, chill. This is somebody on TV. This is not me. But she was completely tweaking because someone was asking for stuff
in the
on
in the show.
TV in the
Uh-huh.
show. And she just kept going off about not recognizing the voice, not recognizing the voice. And like I said, on other commercials and stuff, she'll be like, well, I can't find that particular thing, or I don't, can you repeat that? Stuff like that. And I'm like, sis,
Right.
get it
Yeah.
together. But Siri, I mean, she is not she needs it's
Some
time.
love, need some TLC. Yeah.
It's time. She not TLC, she needs a whole overhaul. She
uh,
needs some serious work. And Chat GPT is coming for her.
right.
Somebody posted on Twitter they have a shortcut to use Chat GPT as her.
Oh
And it was
wow.
pretty dope. I bookmarked it. I'd send it to you.
All
But it was
right.
pretty dope. And people are sleeping on Apple shortcuts. It's like one of the greatest, things that they've come up with since, the when you get text a passcode
Mm-hmm.
for authentication. There was like these shortcuts are killing the game and y'all are not using them like you should. And when I saw guys fix for using Chat GPT as
They
her,
use a shortcut to do it.
yep, I was like,
Mhm.
that's pretty dope.
Yeah, yeah. No, I will agree. People are not using shortcuts because, not because, but when they don't work, man. Because I got a couple shortcuts again tied into Apple Home, tied to Siri and all that stuff, to where I'm just supposed to be able to hold my phone over this little sticker and it do everything I'm supposed to do. I got automations and all that stuff set up, and ain't nothing worse when it don't work,
Mhm.
and that's been my experience with, HomeKit. It needs to stabilize to where once it recognizes a device, I shouldn't have so many issues with the device not complying with the commands, whether the commands I set up via shortcuts or just regular old commands like turn off,
Right.
So, all right, moving right along. The other thing that I saw in Apple News is WWDC. WWDC has a date for June 5th, 2023. That's when they announce new software, specifically like we're on iOS 16 right now. WWDC is typically when Apple launches their new mobile iOS, so that would make it iOS 17 coming up.
17.
They talk to all the developers about all the new advancements in coding and app development and all of the new structures and frameworks. They also have classes and workshops and sessions for all of the Apple certified developers. Are you certified or are you just the developer?
You have to be in the developer program.
All right. So all the developers on the developer program, if you want, you can go to WWDC Live, which stands for Worldwide Developers Conference, and soak up all of the new iOS engineering software stuff that Apple has to offer. Is there anything that you're looking forward to since you are the resident Apple developer as far as anything that Apple might announce come June?
So I'll first say that this is again a virtual event. They will have a live component for the keynote, but those are for a very select few developers. Those tickets will be hard to come by. So, I don't know if we'll ever see another in-person WWDC. I know plenty of people whose vacation it was to go to WWDC because before tickets used to be, are somewhere between like $1,200 to $1,600 just for the ticket to get into the conference. That is include your flight there, hotel, all that stuff. So it's one of those things where it's going to be, for the most part, virtual again. I'm not
Which is
sure.
crazy. Let me interject how Apple is so concerned about the welfare of people coming to WWDC. Meanwhile, they're like, employees, y'all need to bring your asses back to work. We don't care.
Be fired.
Right. Check in at least 3 days a week, or you're going to have problems with Apple in the future. But when it comes to, WWDC, it's still virtual / in person, and they really want to make sure that yada, yada, yada. It's like, do you really? What's the real reason?
Yeah. And like some of the big thing is being able to be in person in these sessions. If there's any new hardware release or honestly any new software release, being able to get your hands on it as developers. We like to be able to touch things. As engineers, like to be able to touch things. So again, I think this is the third year that it has been virtual. Again, there are some in-person components, but like I said, I would suspect that is going to be a very small group. I would assume that I know they have some app developer cohorts. So we talked about before how they have like the one for women entrepreneurs, people of color. I would presume it would probably be smart of them to include their cohorts in person if they wanted, if they're able to be there. So it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to have the sessions, virtually. I normally watch I definitely watch the keynote. I look at the list of the events and decide, which ones I'm going to go to. I would love to be able to return to in person. I would definitely go. So I don't know when or even if we'll get back to that point. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing, what's on tap. Again, I just mentioned it would be fantastic if we had Homegirl get a significant upgrade, redo, re-architecture, whatever you want to call it. She needs some maintenance, a redesign even. So it would be interesting to see kind of what comes in to that, if there's anything. And honestly, I don't think I have really anything that I really hope to see specifically. I honestly, from Apple, I want to see some new innovations on
Right.
their software because we've gotten some things that are kind of cool, but it's been most of the innovation has been on the hardware side. I really would like to see some innovation, what they've come up with on the software side, because some of it's been kind of cool. Some of it's been a little shaky. They've either released it too soon before it was fully baked, or it was not quite, you know, what we expected once we got it. So I'm really hoping that at this conference, we get to see some real innovation on the OS side from Apple.
All right. So over under on Apple announcing this reality headset that we don't know, it's either augmented reality or full virtual reality. You think they're gonna announce that at WWDC, or you think they're gonna wait, or do you think it's coming out at all now that everybody and their mama's talking about AI, open AI and chat GPT and AI? Do you think Apple's going to make a move towards that? Like you mentioned, a good way to evolve Siri would be for Apple to either create or what's the word, integrate
Mm-hmm.
their own version of AI into Siri to make her a little bit more responsive, a little bit more what's the word, not so dependent on Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's an Apple product, the whole my understanding of this current open AI thing is that it pretty much just scrubs the entire internet and then uses machine learning to determine if whatever they pulled off the internet works for this specific what they call it when you enter it in, they call it a prompt. That's what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
You enter in this prompt, and basically what this AI is doing is scraping the internet. Does this work? Is this what the person's looking for? And it knows how to display that result. That sounds like something Apple could use specifically for Siri. One of the reasons why they don't, from my understanding, is Apple's all concerned about privacy, all concerned about security. So Siri, when she's doing a check, she's not checking the internet. She's checking
Mm-hmm.
what Apple has, and she's checking what you have on your device. But with
Right.
OpenAI and Chat GPT, that we pulling from the internet as a whole. So it'd be interesting to see if Apple jumps on that boat, or they stick to, nah, we'll stick to our own data, we'll stick to our customers' own data, and then do something else. So
Honestly, unless they figured out a way to do this, which I mean, they got plenty of money and plenty of smart people to do it, but I don't know if they've been able to figure it out. One of the issues that people have with a chat GPT is the fact that it's, like you said, it's scraping the internet. So it's not giving credit to
where it came
where they're
from.
taking things are from. It's not being properly sourced.
Mhm.
So Apple being Apple, Apple being an easy target, they start using something similar to this. I think the lawsuits are going to come out of the woodwork because, again, Apple is an easy target. They got
Mhm.
plenty of money. And say you use Apple GPT or
Whatever they
OS
call it.
GPT, whatever they call it, and they go and they pull in, say, code. I was like, I hadn't really used Chat GPT. I was like, you know what, let me try it. I was working on a little script to do some file conversions for me. So I wrote the code in Python and I was like, let me see what it looks like compared to what I wrote. Essentially the same thing.
Mm.
And so it was one of those things where, okay, this makes sense. But when you're trying to do full app development, I could see you using it for, a function here, a function there. But if you're going to use full chat GPT to say build a full app, I don't know how you're going to be able to
From scratch.
from scratch get that licensed. I mean, I guess you probably could, but I think people are going to be more aware of the tools that they build because they know that if it's anywhere on the internet, ChatGPT can find it and basically give it to someone else. The the hard work that you put into, design the code, create it, test it, optimize it, all the hard work you put into that, someone could type in a prompt on ChatGPT and get that work and be like, oh, that was easy peasy. Yay me. Let me go ahead and keep going. So to bring it back to Apple, I think it will be one of those things where the risk would be greater than the reward unless they can find a way to use the existing data that they have to build this. And to me, that sounds like a huge ask and a lot of work to try and put into that. So I honestly think it's enough people in that game. We're going to let them duke it out over there.
Right.
And we're going to keep over here trying to make these goggles, which I don't think it's going to come out during WWDC. Okay. If it does, it would be one of those whirlwind, like the very first iPhone are released, because typically at it's Worldwide Developer Conference. It's for software engineers, software developers. So that's usually, the focus. If this comes out during this conference, any software that they've done, any new things, innovations that they have in any of their software stack is going to be completely overshadowed. By these goggles. So if they have something that they're really excited to show or display to developers in the software realm, anything outside of that, especially these new goggles, glasses, reality OS, whatever they're calling it, that would really take up all the air in the room, unless they show the reality OS first or talk about that first, then kind of bring the hardware in behind it. But still, even if they announce reality OS and have some demos, people are going to want to see what hardware, what interface that is going to use this.
Yeah, I don't see them announcing reality OS and not
the goggles.
Yeah, any sort of product, that'll just piss people off anymore.
Yeah.
Even more.
I think when they are ready to announce the goggles, and they're going to do just an event for that, because they'll have multiple things to cover. They'll have to cover the hardware itself.
And how that
They'll
works.
have to cover the new OS, because it's going to be completely from scratch. And then they're also going to have to show apps that they have for this, whether they be native or whether they've, contracted it out and work, because they've done this in the past, work with other dev companies to, create apps that they can show on, demo day, for lack of a better term. So it's one of those things where I think it'll be an event on its own. And that's just going to be the event. It's not going to be any Macs. It's not going to be any iPads or phones. It's going to be its own separate event. And I think it's going to be the oops, one more thing announcement, because they do their standard spring and they do their fall, and then sometimes we'll get a surprise, oops, you thought we were done, we're not, type of thing, whether it be in a press release, whether it be an event. But I think if they're going to announce reality OS, Apple glasses, or whatever they're calling it, it is going to be, to me, I think it's going to be the one more thing.
All right. So I don't have anything I want to special that I want to see out of WWDC. If I had to pick one thing, I am kind of underwhelmed about the lock screen widgets. I'm a little underwhelmed at how much effort Apple has put into it, and third-party developers. There's not that many third-party developers that have taken the time to put some lock screen widgets on iOS platform, and it don't seem like Apple has done all that. We're supposed to get live activities, remember those, to where if you got an Uber,
trying to get these goggles out, man. They ain't got time for that.
Yeah, so definitely want to see a little bit more functionality on that. Definitely some improvements, like you mentioned, on Siri, on HomeKit specifically. I really need them to stabilize that. See what Apple's going to do specifically with Matter, how easy it's going to be for current smart home developers who don't integrate with HomeKit, how easy that's going to be for them to adopt Matter and then have that then work in the HomeKit interface. There are a couple things that I have that I've kind of hung on to, thinking that, okay, eventually they're going to get Matter support, and then I can integrate them into the Home app versus going to a separate app. So definitely wait to see that. Other than that, that is it. To all I can think of out of WWDC. I can't think of anything that would blow my mind. This Macworld article does mention if they do announce hardware, which they have in the past, but they haven't. That hasn't set any sort of precedent. They mentioned a Reality Pro headset. They mentioned a new cheese grater Mac Pro with M2 Ultra or even M3 chip whenever that comes up. A 15-inch MacBook Air, which I don't see that being plausible because most of the time MacBook Air is 13-inch because it's supposed to be small and light and portable. Ain't no sense of making no big MacBook Air. That kind of defeats the purpose.
Right.
And then maybe bring back the iMac, because that's kind of long in the tooth. And then maybe even an iMac Pro, which is a 27-inch iMac screen versus the current iMac that came out in 2020 or 2019 with all the different beautiful colors. That was just 24-inch iMac screen. So we'll see. I just think that's just stuff. This story pretty much said Apple hasn't done these things in a while. So to fill out this article,
let's just throw all this stuff in there.
Yeah, which I don't think none of this stuff really be announced. I think that everybody will be holding their breath for these reality headsets and or reality OS and what Apple's going to do with iOS 17. You know, watch OS 10 is coming up. Mac OS 14 is coming up. iPad OS 17 along with iOS 17. But most people are going to talk about iOS 17 and if this reality headset or reality OS shows up.
Yep.
All right, so that's all I got for the lowdown. We're moving to second string where we talk tech in general. A lot of the hubbub this week around TikTok has been whether or not the United States is going to ban or force the parent company to TikTok, which is ByteDance, sell off their US version. It doesn't seem like TikTok's alternative has been well received by letting ByteDance remain ownership, but all of the United States data, all the United States users, all United States related information as it relates to TikTok stays in the United States, but ByteDance still own the company, which ByteDance has a home location in China, which is all the problem, right? I don't appear that these congressmen and political folks are trying to hear a Chinese company still remaining in some sort of loop as far as TikTok. I bring that all up to say that even though TikTok is catching hell in these congressional hearings, there is
these Congress people.
yeah, right. Even though they ripping it to shreds, TikTok does, or not TikTok, ByteDance, which is the company that owns TikTok, has another app that has pretty much shot up the leaderboards to where it's like in the top 10 in both the Apple and the Google Play app stores.
And they're available here in the US?
It is available here in the US, and it's recently becoming the number 10 overall app across both apps and games. As of this story in TechCrunch, it's ranked number 9 on the App Store's top apps, excluding games. Basically, what this app is called Lemon, and then the number 8, Lemonade. And basically, it's just some sort of Instagram rival that's picture heavy, and it's supposed to help you They call it ByteDance calls it a lifestyle community, but basically it's like heavy picture, kind of like Instagram meets Pinterest almost. And it has recently shot up to, like I mentioned, the top 10, top 9 in app stores. And people are kind of sketchy as to why that is. Where did this app come from? Because this is not a new app. The app started in like 2020, I think, but wasn't even ranked in the top 200 overall charts. But as of recently, somehow it shot up to the top 10.
You
And
know
people
why
are
it
kind
shot up. You know why.
well, people are saying, not people, people who are doing the research on how this shot up are saying is because TikTok, i.e. ByteDance, has been bumping up in paying influencers to talk about this new Lemonade app. And let me and
So
it's using
I was
TikTok.
good. Yeah, I was going to say the reason why it shot up. Tell Americans they can't have something, and that's the first thing.
Thing they're gonna want to
The
do is,
first thing they're
yeah,
gonna want to do
yeah,
is
yeah.
go get it.
Yeah. So basically, what the story says is over on TikTok. So basically, ByteDance is using TikTok as a conduit to get people talking about this new Lemonade app. Over on TikTok, we noticed a number of creators recently began posting about Lemonade, with many new members appearing in just the past 24 hours. Concerningly, many of their reviews of the Lemonade app are extremely positive, but are not marked as sponsored content. So the what's the word? The underlying issue or thing that's concerning is that TikTok is heavily influential, and with the data that TikTok has, they can pretty much use the data, use the influencers to push what they want to see out front. In this case is Lemonade, and all they have to do is use TikTok as a conduit to do that, right? Um, so you make a good point. The fact that people are concerned, or they are scared that TikTok may be going away. So, like you mentioned, so you're saying we can't use TikTok. Let's try to use something that is related, to get their social media fix, because they're scared that TikTok may be going away. So let me get up on something else to fill that void. But I also, like I mentioned, it'd be curious to see how Lemonade rather jumped up so fast in popularity, and if they're using data pulled from TikTok, which is the whole argument as to why the United States wants to ban TikTok, because it's so influential. Case in point, ByteDance being able to use TikTok to prop up another one of their products, right? That's almost like a case study in how TikTok can be, the users can be used to promote anything. In this case, a new app. In some other dark cases, influence political elections. I don't know if that's a direct one-to-one, but you see where I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. And I'll say this before we, go on to the next story. I think people are afraid of the wrong thing. I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat for a moment,
Okay. All
which
right.
isn't so much as tinfoil as, some reading a little bit deeper or going a little bit beyond the surface. So everybody's calling it TikTok ban, TikTok ban, TikTok ban. You have, the CEO of TikTok going before Congress. The name of the bill is actually the Restrict Act. And
Okay.
what this Restrict Act does is act as, I'm looking at an article because I was looking for the name of it. I couldn't remember what the name of it was, but it has that this act is a systematic framework for addressing technology-based threats to security. So if you look at this actual bill, and the name tells you everything you need to know, restrict. It's pretty scary. So I'm going to tell folks to go and do their own due diligence because, of course, the bill is extremely long, but it's banning a lot of stuff
Okay.
outside of social media apps.
Oh, okay.
This bill is giving access to your in-home router, is giving access to your home networks. And one of the things that kind of came out of this is that if you say use VPN to get around this, so say they are successful in banning TikTok.
Right.
If you connect to a VPN to get around, the US restrictions, you can be fined and jailed for using VPN around it. The bill is quite detailed. It lists out a lot of stuff that would be basically taking over, and how we talk about China restricting the internet and those type of things, limiting what people can
Users can
see and what
see,
they can
right.
do. This bill
Ain't
is
that far off, huh?
essentially that level of restriction. And
Right.
again, they call it the Restrict Act
Oh my
because
goodness.
this isn't just a ban on TikTok.
It's
It's
very
the
restrictive
overall,
overall.
it's very restrictive overall over all of your internet traffic, the
Mhm.
devices that you have that are connected to the internet, your home router. If you are a huge techie and you have hubs in your home, it gives access to make decisions about what you can see and what you can't see. And it
Oh,
just isn't for TikTok. It's for other social media apps. It's
so
for
do you think this is which is weird? Which is weird. The reason why I say that is because it seems like this TikTok ban, like we air quotes, has bipartisan support. So
mhm.
you got Republicans as well as Democrats, liberals as well as conservatives are all kind of like, should we do this? Maybe we need to do this. And are using this Restrict Act as the overall framework for it. You would think that this Restrict Act wouldn't be so bipartisan because it gives government more access. It gives them more control. It gives them more say so. I don't want to say control. It gives the government essentially more say so into what we do with our lives privately, which has always been a no-no for conservatives. So I'm curious as to why now all of a sudden more government regulation would be a bipartisan issue in this case.
I think it's all about perception. We've
Okay.
seen how social media has played a huge role in our elections.
Mm-hmm.
And politicians, their job isn't to govern and to care about people. In my opinion, their job is to keep their job and to keep
Okay.
their power seat.
Okay.
And it's one of those things where, based on this, I haven't gone through the full bill because it's a lot to digest, but there would be a new commission set up to
Mm-hmm.
make sure and oversee, because they got to be able to find the people who are escaping,
Right. Whatever.
the
Right.
bill or the restriction. So there would be a whole new commission on that. So I pulled up the act. It's on congress.gov. It's right there in your face. And it's in section 5, it's in considerations. And it says, in carrying out sections 3 and 4, the secretary shall prioritize the evaluation of information and communication technology products and services. And they go on to list those things. They include wireless local area networks, mobile networks, satellite payloads, satellite operations and controls, cable access points, wireline access points, core networking systems, long, short, and backhaul networks, or edge computer platforms. Any software or hardware or any other product or service integral to hosting to data hosting and computing services that uses, process, or retains is expected to use it. So this goes into internet hosting services, cloud-based distributors, machine learning, predictive analysis, and data science products, managed services, content delivery services. So this is basically covering everything down to cover transactions, desktop applications, mobile applications, gaming applications, payment applications, or web-based applications. So basically, anything that we do online is covered in this bill that will have some sort of oversight, possible restrictions are included in this. Nothing is excluded from this. And we all know that we're in the information age. So technology is integral into every aspect of our life. And what this bill is including is everything.
Right. A lot of regulation again, which again, if conservatives, Republicans, one of their staples is less government intervention, less government control, freedom, privacy, let us do whatever we want to do. You just make sure we're not killed in the process. The fact that the sponsor for the Restrict Act is a Democrat, but from Virginia. So maybe oxymoron, a Democrat from Virginia. I'm surprised that this hasn't met a lot of pushback from conservatives, Republicans, due to its potential overreach as it relates to, like you mentioned, pretty much everything we do on the internet.
I don't think it's going to pushback is going to come from members of Congress because they're all pushing for this. I think the pushback is going to have to come from people. And again, people thought because it was sold as a TikTok ban, we are going to ban TikTok. We're going to ban a specific app, not ban all this other crap. And again, I read some portions of it. I tried to put it in as much context as possible, but do your own due diligence. Again, it's on the congress.gov website. All you have to do is type in restrict ban and it will take you to it. What I was reading from is the bill as it stands now. So they have a penalty section, they have a forfeiture section. It's pretty detailed, as any bill should be, but it's one of those things where if you just go based off of what you hear and see on the news, or even what you hear and see on social media, you would think it's just banning of a single app. And that is most certainly not the case with this bill. But again, I think that was done by design to get people on board, because it just makes it seem like, stop calling it the TikTok ban, call it the Restrict Bill, Restrict Act, because that is the official name in the in Congress.
All right. Well, we'll have to see if TikTok is nothing but a Trojan horse for something bigger, which is what
that's what it looks like to me.
All right, so that's it for Second String. We're going to move into For the Culture, where we talk anything socially relevant. Something I was researching that brought me to something else was something called digital blackface. So we know what traditional blackface is when a white or otherwise non-black person changes their appearance, specifically their skin, to imitate and or specifically poke fun at black and brown folks. So you get the costumes, you get the makeup, all the things that we've complained about in the past as blackface, because blackface came up as a negative thing to not poke fun. There's a worse word I want to use. That's worse. To make fun of black folks back in the day, Jim Crow, the whole thing, right? Fast forward to today, blackface is a no-no. There's something new on the block, relatively new, and it's called digital blackface. And I was curious to know, I'll give you a better link, because the link that I had in the notes is just a video.
Do the one from CNN, because that's where I heard it from.
Yeah. So I'm going to add this one from CNN, right? So basically, um, there's this thing called a digital blackface. And basically, what the breakdown is we love memes, we love images, we love viral videos, we love anything that kind of, innocuously starts as one way and we kind of turn it into this big viral sensation, right? We've got a lot of memes that are from pulled from black people, right? um the person on I'm seeing on CNN is Kimberly Sweet Brown, black lady. She's being interviewed by the news, and some sort of fire, something happened, and then the whole viral, good lord, there was a fire, something like that, and that kind of takes off to become this meme, right? Black lady. But the digital blackface comes in to where a non-white person uses a picture or a meme or a viral video containing a black person to kind of portray the emotion or the thought that the person was trying to portray. So if the white person is on, social media and she wants to portray that she's upset or whatever the case may be, and she finds a meme of a black person portraying or doing something that portrays, that meme, she puts it out there. And if you routinely do it, this new thing is called digital blackface. So I'll just read the actual the definition occurring from CNN. What is digital blackface? Digital blackface is a practice where white people co-opt online expressions of black imagery, slang, catchphrases, or culture to convey comic relief or express emotions. These expressions, what one commenter calls racialized reactions, are mainstays in Twitter feeds, TikTok videos, Instagram reels, and are among the most popular internet memes. I'll read a little bit further. Digital blackface involves white people play acting at being black, says Lauren Michael Jackson, an author and cultural critic, in an essay for Teen Vogue. Jackson says the internet thrives on white people laughing at exaggerated displays of blackness, reflecting a tendency among some to see black people as walking hyperbole. So I wanted to, just based off of what I read, based on, our sharing of memes in general, I wanted to get your opinion. Do you believe blackface is a thing? And if so, do you see it as detrimental to black folks, or is this a big think piece, or what is your opinions on this new thing called digital blackface?
What I am so tired of and
Okay.
annoyed with is people misusing terms.
Okay.
I'm so disappointed in this article
Okay.
because there is a such thing as digital blackface, but it's not what's described in this article.
Okay.
What's described in this article is using a meme to mock something. I, as a black person, has used the Jonah Hill screaming meme all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I've used other ethnic people of other ethnicities memes to make a point, to make a joke, to make a reaction.
My famous one, my popular one is the dude in the blazer. Looks like he's at a sporting event, and I don't know if he's maybe Middle Eastern, and he's standing there with his arms on his side.
Yeah.
To where he's like disgust or disappointment, right? That's the feeling that I get when I see that video or that meme of the dude standing there like, what are y'all doing? Right? That's the so just wanted to co-sign that
The writer of this article is being willfully obtuse because of the fact, if she's saying that if a white person using a black person's meme is digital,
a meme with a black person, not necessarily a black person's meme, a meme,
just a meme, a black person in it,
right?
So that opens up. It's not, the idea is not even fully fleshed. So if a white man posts a meme of a black woman, is he doing digital race play, digital cross gender. I'm not sure
Right,
what the
because I'm a
official term
man
is.
and I post a
Right,
meme of a woman.
right. That's
Right.
why I'm saying this idea isn't fully fleshed out. And I'm
Mhm,
so tired of people taking terms and using them and not knowing what they mean.
mhm,
Digital blackface to me is, say, a white woman
mhm,
creates a profile, an account
mhm,
on Twitter.
mhm.
All of her comments are in what she considers black language.
Right.
She is spewing black centric comments,
Mhm,
or essentially in real life blackface. To
mhm.
me, that's what digital blackface is. They call it blackfishing in some instances
Right,
because there's a
right.
trend on Instagram where these white girls put on all this bronzer,
Or
all this
racially
tan,
ambiguous, right.
right? Get them some super curls,
Mhm,
and get online playing what they think is a black person. Again, black people aren't a monolith, so we run the gamut. But typically these people get on here and pretend to be the least common denominator of what they perceive a black person is. And when I say least common denominator, to them, not to me as a black person, but a person they may consider ghetto, or a person they may consider hood, or those negative stereotypes, that is digital blackface.
mhm,
When you are pretending to be a race and or gender
mhm,
that you're not. Digital blackface is not posting a meme as a person of a different race or gender. And why does it only work one way? Why does it only, if digital blackface, playing the contrarian, how they like to say reverse racism. Well, then where's the digital whiteface then? Am I doing digital whiteface when I post a meme of Michael Scott because,
right,
of something he said on the show? That's why I say it just really pisses me off
right.
when people conflate nomenclature and terms that they have no idea what they are talking about. The same thing with woke. They've taken woke and
Mhm.
conflated it into something completely different than what it actually means. But here you go. You have this person who wrote this. I'm going to look them up.
So while you look it up, I think a little bit of a more plausible breakdown of digital blackface, as the author and the person that they're talking to, a more um, believable explanation would be if a white guy or a white girl was wanting to express the emotion of ghetto, right?
Mm-hmm.
She saw something, she read something, or they heard something, and they've come to the conclusion, oh, that was very ghetto, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what they do, the white person or that wants to share that expression of something being ghetto, they go find a meme of a black lady, right?
Mm-hmm.
A black lady typically has been unfairly given the stereotype
Mm-hmm.
of being ghetto. So digital blackface, and the way they're explaining it, is you are taking a racially motivated stereotype and using that as how you express something that is traditionally, a stereotype,
Mm-hmm.
like sassy.
Mm-hmm.
You want somebody says something that you thought was sassy, right? So you go find a meme of a black woman, like the Tyra Banks
Mm-hmm.
meme,
We
you
were
know.
all rooting for you.
Right, as that's how you define sassy, as some black woman going off on somebody, right? That's I can see that's more plausible of how they're trying to explain digital blackface. But again, that's so how do
It's
you
very niche,
nuance,
right? You
right?
can't you
How do you
can't put a broad
right a broad
face on
stroke on
this,
that?
right?
Right, right. Hmm.
Because let me be clear, I believe that people can turn just about anything racist.
Right.
So there's no doubt in my mind that somebody can take a meme and use it in racist terms. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the definition
Right.
that they are using as
Right.
digital blackface is incorrect.
Right.
This is not what, you know, digital blackface is. Could it be a subset of digital blackface? Sure, because again, there are instances where people can take anything and make
Right.
it racist. But at the core of it, what digital blackface is it's not just what they're saying in this article. They are
Mhm.
simplifying it
Right.
way too much
Right.
for it to stand as the overall definition of
Right.
digital blackface.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was kind of taken aback by this whole digital blackface thing too, and I kind of took it as, I almost look at it as a compliment, indirectly, because um, black folks are creative. We
We
are
set the
emotional,
culture.
right? We are emotional. We are creative. We are outspoken, and because of
We got
those
to make a joke
qualities,
about anything, even
right?
the most
We can make a
devastating
joke
things.
about
We're going
anything.
to make a joke.
Right. So in addition to us being outspoken, boisterous, ability to, say how we feel, which is how these memes get captured in this first place. And then for our creativity to show, to kind of then turn it into something popular, viral, what part of the culture, like you mentioned, I think it kind of speaks to I think it's a compliment when then a white person like wants to convey an emotion and blindly picking the best example of that. And it just so happened in most cases to be black people, because we're creative and because we're outspoken and because our moments get captured and they turn into popular memes and viral.
And we make everything cool. So
Right,
people want to get in on that cool factor. They're
right,
in the know, they're hip, they're in line or in sync with the culture. And they, this is the way they choose to express it. Again, anything can be turned racist, in
right.
my opinion. But for the way that they are explaining digital blackface in this article,
Mhm.
it's not the same.
Yeah, it's
It's not the same
a
thing.
little bit of a reach. You're
Yeah.
making more of a problem, than it really is. Now we could be wrong. We look back 10 years, we come find some some white dudes like, yeah, that's what I was doing. I don't like black people, and I think they sassy. So every time I want to say something sassy, I purposely use a black person because black people are ghetto. Then you'd be like, oh, okay, well, yeah. But
Yeah.
I think like you said, people are in a rush to label stuff,
Mhm.
and this
They don't
digital
do their
blackface
research.
thing, I think they need to do a little bit more research to find those niches, to find that nuance, to say this is that. But I think white folks in general, they ain't thinking.
John Blake.
Yeah, they ain't thinking that
You're my
hard.
brother.
They just like, this person's pissed. Let me go find a meme that says pissed. Just so happened to be a black person mad at something.
Why is this a brother who wrote this article?
Of course it is. Well, I mean, people,
Oh,
we're not a
brother.
monolith, like you
We
said.
are
There,
not.
there,
Oh,
there are
Jesus
some,
Christ.
and I'm as militant as they come, but this, I was kind of like, I don't know if this is hitting. I don't know if to use the young kids. I don't know if this slaps. I don't think this slaps.
And he's from Baltimore, brother. And he writes about race, religion, and politics and assorted topics. Oh, brother,
Well,
man.
we talking about it, so I guess he gets his kudos, right?
Yeah, I guess he's doing his job, I guess. Oh, that's
All
so
right, so that's all I
sad.
had for the culture. We're going to move into the hookup. Like I mentioned earlier, iOS 16.4 is out. In addition to some of the other features, one of the things that you can do is remove duplicate photos, whether it be on your device or in the iCloud shared library. So when iOS 16 came out, they announced iCloud shared libraries to where my family, we can create a shared library, and at any time, any one of us who have been invited to this library can upload, download, and delete photos, and add them to the shared library. One of the things people probably do, if I took a picture and my wife took a picture and my kids took a picture and we all uploaded it to the shared library and it's of the same thing, it could be a duplicate. So one of the things, like I mentioned, that a tip that I definitely want people to take advantage of is the ability to delete duplicate photos whether they're on iCloud shared library or not. So when iOS 16 came out, they made it much easier to find and then merge, not necessarily delete duplicate photos, but merge them into one, which, in addition to making it easier, having less photos, more storage. Because my wife was tripping earlier today because she didn't have enough storage space on her phone to do something. I actually went in and went through the process of deleting the duplicate photos on her phone. Magically, 20 or 30 gigs of storage space popped up. So that's my tip for the week. Basically, how you do is you open up the Photos app, and then you go to the albums, and then you sift through all the albums. There should be an album that's called deleted or not deleted, duplicates. Basically, once you go and find that duplicates album, it'll go through and you can actually select it'll show all the duplicates, and then you can it's under, I'm sorry, it's under, I don't have any because I deleted them. Should be under, not under albums, it's under either media types or utilities. If you go down to utilities, it'll show like a duplicate album, and then you can go there, and then it'll show you all the pictures that it thinks are duplicates. You can either choose those and to delete them, or merge them rather, or you can like uncheck them because it's not a duplicate. So maybe
it's under utilities.
Yeah, it's under utilities.
Duplicates. Yeah.
Yep. So if you open up photos, go to utilities, there'll be a duplicates folder. You go in there and you can choose which photos are in fact duplicates to merge them, or you can uncheck them to leave them alone. So that's my hookup. Definitely you have to have iOS 16.4 to be able to delete shared photos in the shared library, but this feature's already been there. They just made it a little bit easier with iOS 16.4. And like I mentioned, they included the ability to delete photos from the shared iCloud library. So that is my tip for the week. And I think that's going to do it for this week's show. Definitely, we appreciate you for listening to us, watching us. If you're watching us on YouTube, or if you are a Patreon supporter and you're watching this early, if you want to get all the information about when shows go live, the latest episodes, how to support the show by following us on social media, you can do all that by going to snobOScast.com. We definitely want to say thank you for all your support. Nica, tell folks where they can find you.
You can find me at Tech Savvy Diva on all of the social media outlets.
All right. And you can find me at Brother Tech, as BROTHATECH. I don't know, Nica, what are you going to do for next week? Let people know I'm going to be on spring break with my kids next week. So we'll have to stay tuned to see what Nica's going to do. If she's going to have a guest, or she may take a week off as well. But again, I ain't going to be here, so that ain't none of my business.
I will let you know as I get closer to time, because at this current moment, I have no idea.
All right. All right. Well, like, I was going to say until next week, but maybe until next week or next week.
Until next time.
Yeah, until next time. There you go. Until next time, we are out. Peace.
Bye, everybody.